Hey everyone! So today I have another story time type of video on my horrible Airbnb experiences, or like my Airbnb horror stories. I've only used Airbnb twice, and if you don't know what that is, it's like basically people rent out places for vacation instead of staying in a hotel or a motel. It's like you could stay in a house, an apartment, a spare room, all different kinds of places. What I do is I like to rent out someone's like spare apartment. So let's say like they own 2 apartments in a building, they live in one and they rent out the other one, or something of that circumstance. I like to do that because then the host is still in town when I'm there in case there are any problems, and also I don't like staying in a place where like someone else lives, like they actually reside there. I kind of like to just stay in a place that's sort of like a hotel, but sort of like a house and apartment at the same time. So I stayed in 2 apartments on Airbnb. And yeah, both times something went like really, really wrong. Oh, by the way, if you're really grossed out, don't watch the video. So I guess I'll start with like my first experience. Both of these were in LA, by the way, different parts of LA, but LA nonetheless. So the first time I went and I was with my friend, and long story short, we went out and got really, really drunk the night before, and I was so sick the next day. Like, everything was coming out of me from the second I woke up to the second I went to bed. Well, actually till around like 6 p.m. I mean, things were coming out and things were coming out. So I was like sick. I was very, very sick, and I was like not having it. I couldn't really even like get out of bed except for to use the bathroom. I couldn't keep anything down. It was just not good. And the friend that I went to LA with decided to go to Vegas for the day. So she was, you know, going to Vegas, doing her thing. But before she left, she was like, "Morgan, the toilet's not working. Like, it's like clogged up. Like, it's not flushing." And I was just like, great. I contacted the Airbnb host, which is like the person who owns the apartment, and she was like, "Okay, like, I'll see what I can do, blah, 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 blah." So I'm turning like the water on, turning the water off. I'm trying to troubleshoot it the best I can, but it's not working, and she can't come to fix it right now. But I'm having issues, if you know what I'm saying. I need to use the bathroom, and everyone needs to use the bathroom. Like, you need to have a working toilet in your apartment. Like, you gotta. And also, I can't even stand up for that long, like, periods of time, so it's not like I can even, like, I don't know, try to walk to a store, like do something. Like, when you gotta go and you're sick, you gotta go, and all of you know what I'm talking about. So I have like a bag next to my bed and I'm like puking. I'm texting this woman, she's like, I'll try to get to it today, but it might have to wait until tomorrow. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? Like, I am really sick. And she's like, "Do you have any garbage bags left?" And I was like, well, yeah. And she's like, you're just gonna have to use them. And I was like, what? Basically, she instructed me to piss and shit in a plastic bag and then go to the dumpster and throw it out. And I really had no other choice. So the day of my vacation was literally spent hot bagging it. And if you don't know what hot bagging it is, it's something people do, let's say on tour buses, when there's no bathroom available at the time. They go to the bathroom in the bag and tie it up and throw it out the window. So that's literally what I had to do. And then she finally came and fixed it that day, but I still had to go in between them, so I was stuck using a plastic bag toilet. Isn't that lovely? Yay. Happy Airbnb. Second experience, which happened pretty recently, I was in LA. I went by myself like I usually do, and it was really, really cold in LA. It was actually colder in LA than it was in New Jersey, which is like really crazy. So I get there and the host is in the apartment and she has like a winter jacket on, and the apartment is freezing cold, like so cold. Like, my nose was cold, my hands were cold, like everything was cold. I was like, "Can we turn the heat on?" She was like, "Yeah, absolutely, like we were gonna turn it on before we left. Like, do you need anything else?" I was like, "No, just like turn the heat on." She was like, "Oh, and by the way, the hot water in the bathroom doesn't work, just the shower." And I was like, okay, like that sucks. And so then she tries to turn the heat on, it doesn't work. They're fucking with it for like a really long time. Then she finally FaceTimes the landlord and tries to get the heat to work, and it starts like coming out like very, very gently, but it wasn't like producing enough heat to fill the room. But she was like, "Oh, it'll kick in, like don't worry, it should be like warmed up in here completely within the next few hours, and if it's not, just let me know and I'll buy you a space heater, and either way the landlord is going to be in tomorrow." And I was like, okay. So I get into bed and I'm like all comfy, even though there's no blankets, so I had to use the comforter as a like blanket, which you would think like she would have blankets provided for the guests, but she didn't. Anyway, long story short, I end up falling asleep. I wake up and it's literally an icebox in the apartment. The heat never went on. It stayed that like dull and not even heat the entire time. So later that day, obviously I got really, really sick. I got like a cold and I got a fever and everything. And I texted her multiple times letting her know it wasn't working, and she kept saying the landlord's coming, landlord's coming. Anyway, long story short, I keep saying long story short because I'm trying to cut it down as much as possible. Never got a space heater. Landlord never came to fix the heater. I was literally stuck in bed the entire trip. I was so sick. And she was like, don't worry, I'll reimburse you some money for your inconvenience, which I thought was nice because I really think the first time I stayed at the Airbnb with the broken toilet, she should have given me some money back too, because like... So then the second time, I was like, okay, she better reimburse me. So I was asking my friends, I was like, what do you think is fair? I paid $450 for the apartment, and there was no hot water in the sink, no heat, and I couldn't even use the kitchen sink because it smelled so bad. So I was like, what do you think would be, like, right? And people were like, they should give you your full refund. Like, you could have stayed in a hotel that had heat. And some people were like, 150, 100, like, blah, blah, blah. So I only asked her for $100 out of the $450 I paid, and she didn't want to give it to me. So I was like, great. Cool. So I have to go through the resolution center in Airbnb. Basically, it pissed her off that I put in a complaint about her, but I wanted to get my money back. So she left me like this really bad, nasty review on Airbnb that there was like an excess of stray hair left around the apartment. Like, are you kidding me, bitch? Like, you charged me $50 for a cleaning fee and you're gonna complain about hair shedding? Like, it was ridiculous. So like, she was just like this vindictive person, and I was like, great. So the first time I used Airbnb, I had to shit in a bag, and the second time I ended up really sick with a fever, freezing my ass off the entire time. Now I know that I've called them, like, if these things happen again, if I decide to use Airbnb again, that I can call them and they can try and set me up in a new place. But it's like, is it even worth it at this point? Like, it's nice to have your own, like, space and your own kitchen and your own little apartment. Like, I prefer it over a hotel because you can get, you know, like a little bit of a nicer stay, like, bang for your buck, I guess. But if I keep having experiences like this, it's like, So I want to know what you guys think. What would you have done in the first situation? And what would you have done in my most recent situation? How much money do you think would have been fair for me to ask for? And how much would you have asked for? So there was more to it. There were a lot of things that went wrong, but that's the whole gist of the story. That's my story time / horror story. And I hope you guys get some kind of entertainment from watching my woes, and stay very, very sassy. I will talk to you soon. Love you. Bye.